What is your parliamentary inquiry?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. The rules of the committee says that this committee only acquires jurisdiction on matters of nonfeasance, misfeasance, malfeasance. And under Section 2, Mr. Chair of the rules, there should be a prior determination whether or not these malfeasance, nonfeasance, and misfeasance are directly or specifically relating to the persons charged of this. Has this committee made a prior determination of this? And if so, when did it happen? And where is the order specifying that the committee has just reached a prior determination? This is very important, Mr. Chair, because the rules also says that after determining or making a prior determination, this committee will set an order, and that is the only way that this committee acquires jurisdiction over the person's subject matter of this inquiry. And that particular order of prior determination will set out the parameters. If I can make a comparison, Mr. Chair, in regular court, it is called pre-trial order, where the parameters of the inquiry, the presentation of evidence or explanations or allegations are limited to that set of stipulation. So considering, Mr. Chair, and I assume that there is no prior determination, I do not think how we can start the meeting today because we are supposed to observe the rules. I am referring to Section 2 of the rules of this committee, Mr. Chair. Thank you.
Thank you. To answer that, Congressman Marcoleta, we have already ruled on the preliminary determination a while ago. Medyo na-late na po kayo. Now, with respect to your inquiry, that if we can proceed with this, considering that this is an investigation of malfeasance, misfeasance, and nonfeasance, let me walk you through through the definition of good government and public accountability. It provides that all matters directly and principally relating to malfeasance, misfeasance, and nonfeasance in office committed by officers and employees of the government and its political subdivision and instrumentalities, inclusive of investigations of any matter of public interest on its own initiative or upon order of the House. For the information of everybody, the issue on confidential fund is a matter of public interest. Lahat po tayo ay interesado, hindi lamang po tayo, yung publiko po, interesado kung paano po ito nagamit. Kaya yun po ang dahilan why this committee has jurisdiction over the subject matter.
But Mr.
Yes,
Chair,
Congressman Marcoleta.
Mr. Chair, under Section 5, there should be a record of preliminary determination. It says that the proceedings in the preliminary investigation or determination shall be recorded through stenographic notes. What you were mentioning are motu proprio cases. I am assuming that this committee started by way of a referral because of a privileged speech delivered on the floor by one of us. And so this is the main subject matter of this committee meeting, and to which we should first determine preliminarily whether or not this committee acquires jurisdiction. And I demand a record of preliminary determination under Section 5 because it says, upon termination thereof, Mr. Chair, the chairperson shall issue an order which shall recite in details the matters taken up. So what are the matters taken up, Mr. Chair? I think we should be able to comply with these elementary rules as specified in the governing rules.
Well, considering that we are still in the we have yet to proceed to the interpellation. We are still in the period of recognizing the resource person as well as the witness. With that, the chair declares 1 minute suspension.
the Department of Budget and Management, and some of them are here. They are here today, Your Honor.
Diba? We will now proceed to the, before we proceed to the interpellation proper, the chair will recognize the Honorable Vice President for her message. Yes, ma'am. You are recognized, ma'am.
A message, sir, or my statement regarding the point of order? Message? Mga kababayan, ladies and gentlemen, assalamualaikum, warakmatullahi wa barakatuh. Madayaw, mayong adlaw, kaninyong tanan, magandang araw sa inyong lahat. The officials of the Office of the Vice President, as well as each and every one of our satellite office leads, were in receipt of a letter from the chairman of the Committee on Good Government and Public Accountability dated September 13, 2024, requesting our presence or that of our duly authorized representatives in today's initial deliberation with preliminary determination on privilege speech number 379. In view of the said letter, I am appearing before you today not only as the head of office, but more importantly as the duly authorized representative of all officials of the OVP. Simply because we have not done anything wrong. There is no misuse of funds. If there are audit findings, we shall gladly respond to them before the Commission on Audit. And if there are legitimate cases to be filed, then we shall gladly respond to them before the appropriate courts. In relation to this, may I just say that I take notice of the opening speeches and nasabi doon, there is a determination of misfeasance, nonfeasance, and malfeasance. And those are cases that should properly be taken in the courts of law. What we are witnessing now is no ordinary legislative inquiry. This exercise is a well-funded and coordinated political attack. This much is evident from the very words of the privileged speech that prompted this inquiry. A speech that simply meant to say, do not vote for Sara on 2028. It is clear to me that this inquiry is not about misused funds, accountability, or governance. Instead, it is solely aimed at discrediting my name and my office to prevent future political contests. I have publicly stated my reasons as to why I've chosen not to defend the OVP's budget proposal for 2025. I have narrated the issues I encountered in previous years, which can easily be confirmed by looking at the NEP, the GAB, and the GAA for fiscal years 2023 and 2024. Further, I have even shared the drama that transpired last year regarding the confidential funds. Hence, just as we have done last year, we again leave the 2025 OVP budget to the pleasure of Congressman Martin Romualdez. I am not asking for any special treatment, nor am I asking you to uphold any tradition. There is no disrespect All I am saying is that you have the complete freedom to do whatever you wish with the OVP budget. If you feel that all the documentary submissions are not enough, then by all means, huwag kayo magbigay ng budget. Sa totoo lang, hindi naman ang budget ang punteriya ninyo. Dahil napakadali naman magtanggal ng budget. What you are trying to do is make a case for impeachment. Hindi naman ako kakandidato sa nalalapit na eleksyon. Hindi ako namumulitika. Ang ginagawa ko lamang ay ang pagtupad sa aking oath of office at campaign platforms na trabaho, edukasyon, at mapayapang pamumuhay. Sinabi ko na noon at ilang beses ko nang inulit na hindi ako ang problema ng bayan na ito. Ang totoong problema ng bayan ay kagutuman, kahirapan, iligal na droga, kriminalidad, terorismo, hindi na sapat na healthcare, kalidad ng edukasyon, kawalan ng plano ng infrastruktura para sa disasters, at marami pang iba. So, you may try to destroy me, you can skin me alive, and throw my ashes to the wind. But let it be known, you will find me unbowed. I will continue to serve the Filipino people no matter the personal cost or political intrigue. Having said that, I will not allow myself to be subjected to an inquiry based on an empty privilege speech just so you can attack me and do indirectly what you failed to do directly during the budget hearings. I therefore request this committee to terminate this inquiry for its clear lack of any proposed legislation or substantive matter for discussion. Shukran.
Na line item for confidential funds.
Please address the chair
Mr.
when
Chair,
answering.
Mr. Chair. Sorry, Mr. Chair.
Yeah.
Sa DBM po, please, you are, Yusek Toledo, you are recognized.
Yeah, Mr. Chair, yes, there is no line item for confidential fund, but there is a program that item under that program po na ginagamit po yung confidential fund po.
I'm not satisfied with the answer. Ang tinatanong ko lang po, meron bang line item doon sa budget ng Office of the President na confidential fund? Meron po bang line item po? Yes or no?
There is no, Madam Chair,
Yes.
Mr. Chair.
Okay. How about noong 2023, budget of the Office of the Vice President? Is there a line on about confidential funds?
There is, Mr. Chair, there is a line item for
Magkano po, Mr. Chair, yung confidential funds of the Office of the Vice President for 2023?
500 million, Mr. Chair.
Okay, you're correct. Kasi nandito naman, meron naman tayong ano dyan. Okay, so kung compare natin, Mr. Chair, yung Office of the Vice President budget, GAA 2022 and GAA 2023, so makikita natin agad-agad yung difference. No, na yung confidential funds sa Office of the Vice President noong 2022 ay wala, pero sa Office of the Vice President sa 2023 ay meron. Okay, so paano po nagkaroon ng 125 million na confidential funds ang Office of the Vice President noong 2022, Mr. Chair, sa DBM?
Okay, Mr. Chair, while the OVP has no provision for the confidential funds under the fiscal year 2022 GAA, the said release of funds was charged against the contingent fund using the existing PAP of the Office of the Vice President. That is the Good Governance Program, Mr. Chair.
Well, ano po yung ibig sabihin ng good governance program po? Kasi defined, alam po natin meron tayong JC o joint circular governing confidential funds. So, can you elaborate on good governance, Mr. Chair, yung binabanggit ninyo po?
The Good Governance is a program of the OVP, and so that's the basis for us for the release of the confidential plan of the Office of the Vice President, Mr. Chair.
Well, can you elaborate ano ba yung good governance? Dahil malinaw po doon sa rules or the joint circular governing confidential funds, yung mga pwede lang napondohan ng confidential funds, Mr. Chair.
Mr. Chair, we have already responded to that inquiry. We have already sent already the letter dated September 11, 2023, as to what is the all about the good governance program of the OVP, Mr. Chair.
Mr. Chair, these representations has no copy of what you are referring to as the good governance programs. May I request for the copy, Mr. Chair?
Please take note of the manifestation of Congressman Castro Comsec. Would you like to respond, Comsec?
Your Honor, as to the part of the committee secretariat, we have not received a document from the Department of Budget Management. We have sent an invitation on September 13. We are not in receipt of a position paper or any document dated September 11, Your Honor. It might be a different committee.
Okay, but just the same, yes, I may respond to the inquiry as far as what is all about the good governance program, particularly the good governance engagement and social services projects. This is in consideration of the urgency of the safe implementation of various projects and activities of the Office of the Vice President across its satellite offices for the last, the conduct of its official engagement and functional representation in international and local events, the implementation of various projects and activities relevant to national security and peace and order, and implementation of the same with proper security and safety protocols for the benefit of the institution. Mr. Chair.
Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Ma'am, you only have 1 minute.
1 minute.
Please wrap up your...
Sige. So did the Office of the Vice President in 2022 asked for a budget for confidential funds for the DBM?
Your Honor, Mr. Chair, for 2022, there is no request for the confidential in the budget, but we have, as mentioned, they have requests for the chargeable, we have requests for 2022, but that was charged to the contingent fund.
There was so may request po ba o wala?
Doon sa proposed budget for 2022, wala po.
Pero saan po kinuha yung 125? Sinasabi nyo kanina, Mr. Chair, ay doon sa contingent fund. So, hindi po ba kapag merong request for a lump sum o merong ibibigay or pagkukuhanan yung lump sum, dapat may request?
Okay.
So,
Yes, Mr. Chair. So during the implementation of the fiscal year 2022 budget, there was a request coming from the Office of the Vice President to release an additional requirement for the fiscal year 2022 budget. Basically, hindi lang po yung confidential plan, but also for some PS and MOE requirements. Now, this was...
pinag-uusapan lang natin yung confidential
Okay.
funds.
So, Mr.
Mr.
Chair,
Chair.
yes, there was a request coming from the Office of the Vice President during the implementation of the budget in that year. So that's why in...
So, Mr. Chair, may I cut you on that with due respect? So, may I ask, Mr. Chair, the request...
Last
Yes.
question, please.
So, second down na lang ako, Mr. Chair. May I ask the DBM, Mr. Chair, the letter request from the Office of the Vice President? So, yun na lang, Mr. Chair, at itutuloy ko na lang po mamaya.
The DBM is requested to submit the letter of the Honorable Vice President. The
yes,
request
Mr.
letter of
Chair.
the Honorable. Please submit it to the COMSEC.
Yes, Mr. Chair.
Thank you. Next to interpolate is Honorable Nika Swansing. You have 5 minutes.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chair. Mr. Chair, I was just hoping to take this opportunity because COA, the right team from COA is already here. So if I may request the COMSEC, Mr. Chair, and the permission of the Honorable Chairman to pull up some slides on the screen. Mr.
Yes,
Chair.
please.
Mr. Chair, these were the same slides that I presented to the Committee on Appropriations during the deliberation on the budget of the Office of the Vice President 2 weeks ago. For those who were not there in the meeting, a very quick summary, Mr. Chair, in the interest of time. So these, the slides were put together based on the different documents submitted by COA in compliance to the subpoenaed duces tecum and accomplishment report submitted by the Office of the Vice President. And here, Mr. Chair, several things to note. Essentially, we have summarized across the 4 quarters in terms of the disbursement of the confidential expenses of the Office of the Vice President, the different audit findings of the Commission on Audit across the 4 different quarters. So for Q4 2022, which is the subject of the notice of disallowance, it was found that there's a 73 million out of 125 million that was considered by COA as disallowed in audit. And then for the succeeding quarters, accordingly, Mr. Chair, you would see here the proportion of the 125 million, which was questioned in the audit order memorandum and not questioned across the succeeding quarters. During the deliberations of the Office of the Vice President, President's budget, I directed a question towards COA to please enlighten us as to the grounds for the notice of disallowance for Q4 2022 and the 3 succeeding quarters which were subjected to the AOM, Mr. Chair. However, during the OVP budget hearing, the representative of COA, Assistant Commissioner Alexander Juliano, said that he was not privy to the information as he was not part of the team handling the confidential expenses. So, Mr. Chair, I believe the team who did the audit is present in today's hearing. So if we may request, Mr. Chair, COA to please enlighten us for the 4 different quarters covered by the notice of the disallowance and the audit order memorandum, may we please request, Mr. Chair, COA to please enlighten us as to the ground. So perhaps, Mr. Chair, we can go quarter by quarter. We can first start with Q4 2022, which was the subject of the notice of disallowance.
Any representative from COA?
Mr. Chair, Attorney Gloria Camora, the State Auditor of
Attorney
the ICFAO,
Camora.
yes, will answer the question
Attorney
of the
Camora, you're
Honorable
recognized.
Congresswoman.
Yes, good morning, Madam, Mr. Chair. As to the 2022 notice of disallowance, There were
Ma'am,
three-
pakilakasan po ninyo yung boses nyo, hindi marinig.
Okay. There were three items that are part of the notice of disallowance. The first one is on the non-submission of documents on the payment of rewards. The second one is charging some items that are not compliant under the rules joint circular. And the third one is non-submission of the revised accomplishment report of the office of the VP to the three regulatory offices, which are the Office of the President, the Senate President, and the Speaker of the House of Representatives, because what they have submitted was the original one, and they made an amendment, but as of now, they have not resubmitted the amended accomplishment report.
Mr. Chair, if
Please proceed,
COA may
Congresswoman
please
Francis.
enlighten to explain to us, because it seems a little bit technical po, as to how it was explained by COA. Kung pwede po maipaliwanag po sa atin in non-technical terms as to the grounds for the disallowance po.
COA, pakisimplify po. Please explain it in layman's term.
Yes po. Basically, the disallowances is because hindi po sila nag-submit ng required na documents under the joint circular.
Mr. Chair, if we may move to the next slide.
Please proceed.
ComSec, next slide, please. Here, Mr. Chair, shows a breakdown of the different expense items listed in the accomplishment report for Q4 2022 and the three succeeding quarters, which were the subject of the AOMs. Mr. Chair, I would like to again throw the question to COA, because it seems to me, I am not an auditor, so it seems to me that across the three succeeding quarters, the categories that were flagged as questioned in the AOM are similar across the three succeeding quarters. So, pare-pareho po yung naka-orange po. Payment of reward, yung provision of medical and food aid, at saka po payment of incentives or traveling relative to the confidential operation. So, Mr. Chair, if I may request COA to please enlighten us as to the reason why these categories seem to be repeatedly flagged across the succeeding quarters under audit.
COA.
Yes, Mr. Chair. As to the payment of rewards, the joint circular requires a document, the supporting documents evidencing the success of the information gathering. As far as the documents that they have submitted, we are not, so far, we are not satisfied with the documents they have submitted. So we asked them to submit the documents that would satisfy the joint circular. As to the provision of food and medical items, again, we ask them for an explanation, since by themselves, food and medical aid appears to not fall under the expenses allowed by the joint circular. So we are asking for explanation on those items. And then, it's the same with traveling expenses, Mr. Chair.
Mr. Chair, in the interest of time, I'll move to my final slide.
You still have 1 minute.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Chair. Clarificatory question sa Mr. Chair, kasi at least nandito na ba yung team sa COA. Last slide, please, ComSec. Here, Mr. Chair, I would like to ask COA, because Very interestingly po, isa po sa mga napansin natin is the length of disbursement for the 125 million across the different quarters po. Meron po ba na information yung COA as to how how the disbursements were done in terms of the speed by which the disbursements were done? Like for example po, the 125 million in December were spent in 11 days as opposed to in Q3 2023 po, wherein it was spent in 79 days. So kasi po, one thing that we can see as well in the previous slide is regardless of the length of the disbursement or the speed of the disbursement or the areas of surveillance, if you can move to the previous slide, Comsec. Ito po. The numbers of areas under surveillance are different, and the speed of the disbursement is different as well. But it seems like the expenditure patterns are very similar po across categories and across the different quarters. So, meron po bang nakita yung COA with regards to that po, Mr. Chair?
Please wrap up your questions. Pakisagot na lang po, tapos na po kayo.
Mr. Chair, since we were given the data on the areas and they have also submitted the evidences of payments, we did not conduct a study on the speed by which the frequency of the payments, as long as we were satisfied with the number of areas that they have served. So if we can average it based on that, the number of areas, I think it is possible to be spending the said amounts.
Mr. Chair, final question na lang
Okay,
po.
last question.
Because the AOMs were issued po in February 1, 2024 for the first AOM, and then the second AOM po on August 8, 2024. Reading through the AOMs po, the Office of the Vice President is given 15 days to respond to the AOMs. I believe the first one has been responded to in April. So meron na po bang response doon po sa August 8 na AOM?
Yes, Madam Chair, they have submitted their reply to the AOMs, and the audit is on the compliance is ongoing.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chair. Those are my clarificatory questions po. Clarification because the team handling the audit is now here. So just wanted to clarify po dun po sa slides na present po nung nakaraang OVP budget hearing. Maraming salamat po, Mr. Chair.
May I approach the table? Request 1 minute suspension.
The chair declares 1 minute suspension. Session resumes.
Mr. Chair, may I request...
The Honorable Vice President is recognized.
Thank you. May I request to leave the inquiry?
Ma'am, pwede naman po, considering na hindi naman din po kayo naka-oath and alam naman po namin, marami rin po kayong ginagawa. The Vice President is excused.
Thank you.
Thank you po,
Thank you,
ma'am.
everyone. Good morning.
1 minute suspensions declared by the chair.